Well, this story that's coming out of Atlanta is something that should have been happened, not only in Atlanta, but all over the country. So the city of Atlanta has designated formerly incarcerated people a protected class, granting them legal protection from discrimination. Because that's been allowed, that people that, did their debt to society, their jobs can discriminate against them. In my company, we do not discriminate against anyone with a record, not whatsoever. The only time we would take an issue with someone like that, of course, on a case-by-case basis, like you touching children and you on that offender list and all that. Nah, I can't rock with that. No. But it shouldn't be just a person went to prison for whatever reason that they shouldn't be able to get a job. They say the city council unanimously voted in favor of the measure on October 17. Advocates are saying those impacted say that it could remove economic barriers for thousands of people, many who are black, and decrease recidivism. Atlanta City Councilman Matt Westmoreland is one of the measure sponsors, said it was a request of residents who say they have been unfairly treated because of their criminal history. It said the adopted ordinance bars businesses within Atlanta from denying formerly incarcerated people's jobs or housing solely because of their criminal record. Now, I say the ordinance says that any adverse hiring decisions based on criminal history must be based on how the criminal history relates to position responsibilities in accordances, with the following considerations: whether the applicant committed the offense, the nature and gravity of the offense, the time since the offense, and the nature of the job for which the applicant has applied. I think that's fair, because let's say if a person went to prison 10 years ago, you still holding that over them? I don't care if they went to prison 5 years ago. They lived on the straight and narrow and done anything wrong. I mean, that's good. I say during the discussion, over the city ordinance, resident Sharon Turner told the city council she was wrongfully convicted in 1993 and released in 95. However, she had been rejected for subsidized housing in Midtown twice since the conviction. She said there aren't any opportunities, there aren't any places who are willing to accept people who have served the sentences. It said that they were handed out. It said that Simpson, whose organization supports black formerly incarcerated people. She said, I served a 10-year sentence, and upon my release, there was nothing for me, is what this other woman is saying. She said, I literally had to live underneath the bridge, live in my car, and all other things. It said, but thankfully, I was able to pull on my community, and they were able to help me, get some upward mobility. However, there are a lot of people who can't. Now, studies show that having a job could reduce a person's chances of reoffending. The Prison Policy Initiative estimates about 60% of formerly incarcerated people are unemployed based on U.S. Bureau of Justice statistics. The city's Human Relations Commission, which investigates and hears complaints regarding discrimination within Atlanta, will enforce the ordinance. And I will say, Atlanta, great job. I believe every city should be following this. Every major city should be following this completely. This needs to be adopted even at all the state levels. Now, Atlanta's pre-existing law protects people from discrimination based on race, color, creed, religion, sex, marital status, parental status, family status, sexual orientation, national origin, gender identity, gender expression, age, and disability. The commission could issue a cease and desist letter if a private or public entity violates the city's code. In addition, a business could face license revocation, and agencies and companies could be subject to legal investigations. It's unclear how many of Atlanta's more than 497,000 residents are formerly incarcerated. However, 1 in 8 Georgians fall in the category. Research shows more than half are black. Still, the ordinance applies to businesses and entities operating within the city's borders, extending opportunities to others in the metro area. Now, they said, I think that when people wrote laws many, many years ago, they never thought about the fact that after the fact, after we've done the time, after that individuals want to get on there with their lives. Another council member in Atlanta named Keisha Waits. That's what she has stated. So I believe, like I said, once again, all cities should be adopting this. All major cities, right? Especially those so-called Democrat cities, right? They're supposed to be black people's friends. You should be immediately adopting this. If the major cities adopt this, like all the major cities, your Houston, your Dallas, your Los Angeles, your San Francisco, your New York City, just your big cities, right? That will send a tidal wave across the country, because I've been saying this for years, that is discrimination. If a person done their time, they should be able to come out and vote. They should be able to come out and have their Second Amendment rights, period. And you shouldn't bar them from even having a passport. Because I know they say if you have a drug conviction, you can't get a passport. Why? If you've done your debt to society, you should be able to have everything back. You're done with your probation, you're done with everything. But some of these states, they try to stop people from voting, stop people from having the Second Amendment rights. On the federal level, they try to, if it's certain drug convictions, they don't want you to have a passport. You've done your time. You learn your lesson, right? You haven't done nothing. It's been 10 years, 15 years since last even seen a prison. And yet they still want to hold that over you? No. So like I said, shout out to Atlanta for actually taking a step, being very progressive, because they like to use that term progressive, but they don't progress anything. So Atlanta at least took a step. And this should be done on the federal level as well. So y'all Democrats want to be in office, maybe y'all should want to push that a little bit more. But let me know what y'all think about, what they do in the city of Atlanta. And this should be all over America. And also it needs to be put down at the federal level.